Why don't we start with the backstory? You were saying this has been a family business for some time.
My grandfather was approached to build a hotel in Pittsford on the site that is now the DelMonte Lodge. And when the group approached him to build the hotel, he had been in the office development business at the time. So his background was in engineering, and he thought, with the way hotels are constructed and the repetitive nature of the hotel rooms, there's got to be a better, more efficient way to build hotels. And what he did is he created a patent for a concrete modular building system, and it's the DelCrete building system. And in the warehouse that's behind us, he built a manufacturing plant to build hotel room boxes. And with those boxes, once those boxes were complete, they were furnished and sent out to site, essentially a plug and play. So that was the first hotel he built. We didn't own the hotel. We leased it back to the group. And that really gave him the itch that he wanted to build his own. So traveling down to Florida, he stayed at a Marriott along the way in Maryland, one of the first Marriotts out there. And he liked the brand, he liked the product, and he reached out to Bill Marriott and Marriott Company at the time, which was a small family business similar to ours, and he said, I want to franchise this. So Marriott allowed him to franchise the brand, and we built the Thruway Marriott, which opened in 1973. Then by 1980, he had built the Greece Marriott, and so we were solidly in the hotel business. But that wasn't, although we were in the hotel business, the focus really wasn't the hotels, the focus was the DelCrete building system. So what he did is he franchised that system to an international investor who built a big plant in Mobile, Alabama. And in Mobile, we shipped out the boxes, what we call them, all around the country and all around the world. So we built a hotel in Shanghai, China, and Minnesota, and then it grew into, this isn't just a good fit for hotels, it works for hospitals and housing and prisons. And really, that's what we did for a while. So that business was successful, and it ran its course. And then around the 1990s, in the mid-90s, we decided we're going to now really focus on the hotel side of the business, and we're going to build our own platform. And two things happened in the mid-90s. One is my father, John DelMonte, came on board as president of the company, and Marriott and Hilton were coming out with their select service brands. And select service is it's like the Fairfields, Courtyards, Hilton Garden Inn, Hamptons. That's that world. And today, you take it for granted every exit on the highway has a Hampton or a Courtyard. But back then that wasn't the case, and it was really the Wild West days of hotel development. So from 1995 to 2014, we built and opened 16 hotels, all of which we managed ourselves. And that's really when we very much got into the hotel business. So, go ahead.
How rare is it for a family to have a chain of this size in this day and age?
The hotel business is consolidating quite a bit. So it used to be much more common that it was family-owned and operated businesses that were local or regional like ours, and that it was more fragmented. Today there's REITs and private equity funds that have consolidated a lot of that and built bigger platforms. So you're seeing a shift from the groups that own 10 hotels to that's if you're between, I'd say 1 and 5, that's a big big segment of the hotel owner population. And then there's the ones that own 50 to 100. So there's a niche to be really where we are right now in this 15 to 20 range, but we're hoping to grow our portfolio as well.
Is there a lot of pressure to sell? Do you have these bigger companies coming in and trying to get you guys?
Well, they're not trying to get us.
To obtain, to acquire.
So there's people are always knocking on the door asking for interest in selling. So especially with what we're building now, we've got a lot of very exciting projects going on. We've just opened, since 2015, we opened 4 hotels, and all of them have been more high profile. And we've got another 3 in the pipeline that are going to open this year. So there's a lot of interest in what we're doing. We have sold 8 hotels in the last 7 years, but at the same time grown with new ones. So when we sold 8 hotels that were 530 rooms, and when we open our 3 that are under construction this year, we'll have a net gain of 330 rooms.
Do you still use the Del Creek system?
We do not use the Del Creek system. It's interesting, the Del Creek system was really revolutionary in that what my grandfather was doing in the 70s and through the 90s with it is now being duplicated by other larger construction companies that have come out with their own systems. It's not concrete, it's oftentimes wood frame or light gauge steel, but the concept of stacking buildings is now taking foot, especially with construction costs on the rise.
Absolutely. I've heard along the way that some of the toughest businesses to start, restaurant and a hotel. Have you found that to be the case with hotels, that this is a tough business to be in?
I'm fortunate. I'm coming into a business that's established, so I'm not starting it. But it is a tough business. It's very labor intensive. There is an operating model to it. It's not like office space that you just lease out and, I guess I don't know the office space business too well, but it seems easier to me. I'm not trying to insult anyone. But it's a labor-intensive business. You're always fighting for demand. You have to be selling your product to the market, to the local businesses. So it's 24 hours a day.
Absolutely. What's the secret, if you will? How do you succeed in this very competitive business?
We've been fortunate. So to succeed in this business, really, Bill Marriott said that if you treat your associates well, they'll treat their guests well, and your guests will come back again and again. And our business relies on our guests coming back and again and again. So we've kind of taken that to heart, given our history with Marriott, and we have our longevity with our associates within our business, both at the hotel and here at corporate, I think speaks volumes to how we treat our associates. And and then there's the reinvestment aspect of it. We have to keep our product fresh. We have to keep up with the brand initiatives, and make sure that the market knows, and the market knows that, because there's a lot of hotels out there that are not up to date.
This is a you question. I've noticed with family companies, by the time you get to the 3rd generation, sometimes it's hard to find someone to take over. Mm-hmm. What made you decide to take on that role?
I didn't have a clear, there was no expectation that I would. So I after graduating from college, went and worked in New York City for M&T Bank for a little over 3 years, working in the commercial real estate group. And I had the opportunity to see all different deals come through, and also the opportunity to see the structuring of these deals during a recession. So having a keen eye on risk. And with that, I really enjoyed the real estate aspect of the business. I started talking to my father, and he asked me if I wanted to come back and work with him, and I really enjoy working with him, so I don't regret anything.
You grew up, part of your childhood, most of it actually, in Vienna.
Yes.
And then you lived a year in Vienna with your wife. How has that influenced you, if it has at all, in this business?
I don't know that living in Vienna has influenced me in the business. It's certainly been it's a big part of who I am. I've been trying to teach my children German, and we go back to Vienna every year and spend time with my mother who still lives there. But in business, I mean, I don't know how necessarily it has influenced me.
Yeah. I know this wasn't a talking point, but something I thought about while we were talking. Has the Airbnb trend influenced the hotel business at all?
Airbnb is interesting. In markets that we are in, it's not as big of an influence. I think it's more of a for the leisure travel in San Francisco or New York, and you lose that potential customer. But all in all, I think Airbnb fills a place in the market that wasn't met, and I don't see it as that big of a competition or hindrance to our business.
In Rochester, we're not a giant destination for a lot of people like San Francisco or New York, but you still find a good deal of demand here, people traveling and looking to spend money to be comfortable overnight.
We do. And Rochester has been a steady performer for us. There's I wouldn't say growth has been, growth has not outperformed the market, but it has remained steady over the years. And with Kodak's decline, there's been spin-offs that have generated new businesses, that have generated room demand. So we're happy in Rochester and consider building another hotel here if the opportunity presented itself.
You were talking about some exciting projects that DelMonte's working on. What are they?
Yeah, so about 8 years ago when I started working here, we took a look at our portfolio and we said, what do we want to do? Where do we want to go? We're a little, I don't want to say stagnant, but we'd have to grow, you have to change. And we decided what we're going to do is we're going to get out of our tertiary markets and our older properties, and we're going to take that money and we're going to reinvest into new hotels. And we're going to, which was different than anything we'd done in the past. We'd never sold a hotel before, and we'd never had an outside investor before. So we said, today's, to build a hotel today, it costs a lot more than it did 10 years ago. We're going to need to bring on investors in order to do this successfully, and to grow at a pace that makes sense. If we were building one hotel every 3 years, we could do it internally, but that's not what we want to do. We want to build a couple of hotels a year and expand. So we decided, okay, we need to sell some older hotels, and we need to reinvest, and we need partners. And that's what we've done. As I mentioned before, over the last, since 2015, we opened the Hilton Garden Inn at College Town. We opened a Hilton Garden Inn in Pittsburgh. The College Town has been a great success for us. Beautiful property that's part of a mixed-use development that Fairmount Properties was the lead developer on out of Cleveland. And our relationship with them has remained so that we just opened an AC in Beechwood, Ohio. AC is one of Marriott's newest brands, a lifestyle select service type hotel. And that's part of a 1.2 million square foot lifestyle center that it has residential, office, retail, movie theater, Whole Foods. Every retailer, high-end retailer that you can imagine is within development, and we sit on top of another building that has retail on the ground floor. So it's a very urban experience in a suburban market, and that's has been a really fun project to work on. And we are under construction on a 175-room residence inn at the Cleveland Clinic, and that's will be opening in May.
And you're saying you're taking on some partnerships too throughout all this.
That's right. So the AC, we worked with our partner in that project is Cobblestone Capital here in Rochester. They've been great to work with. We've been very excited about the project. It's come out of the gate successfully, and we're looking to build on that. And the Residence Inn, our partner is Rockbridge Capital, a private equity firm based in Columbus, Ohio. And our goal is to continue growing those partnerships and building or buying more hotels with them, and then to expand in our network of investors as well.